Hello, I'm Joseph Napier, Sr. of Napier Vision Productions. It is my pleasure to be sitting here today in the studio with one Christina Streety Napier, author of the book Code Name Midnight, William Lambert in the Underground Railroad. For our virtual viewers, I'd like to ask you the question, what does the phrase Code Name Midnight mean?
Codename Midnight was actually the name of the last stop on the Underground Railroad between Detroit, Michigan and Ontario, Canada. People called it that so that those who were traveling the Underground Railroad would know once they reached Detroit, codename Midnight, that soon they would meet Canaan Land, which is actually in Ontario.
Okay, so Detroit was kind of like the destination spot, if you will. It was the beacon or the city at which one had to come to, and then from there they could launch over into Canada, if I understand.
It's one of the many stops, but Detroit is one of the stops that people would cross from Detroit into Canada.
Okay, so Codename Midnight could have referred to any of the cities at the final destination, or did that
No,
specifically refer to Detroit?
that specifically referred to Detroit, Michigan.
Okay. What was your main inspiration for writing a children's book, Miss Napier?
As a child, my mother, Lois, would sit us down and tell us about the Underground Railroad and about William Lambert and about the Lambert family and all of the accomplishments that he made. Shared with us the rich history that our family had as a result of the Underground Railroad. And because of that, I shared the same stories with my children and grandchildren, and I felt that children should have a firm understanding of where they came from and more about leaders and people and heroes that helped to get people into freedom and to do things that were heroic and not being afraid.
Okay, so what I hear you saying, the children's books acts as an inspiration, if you will, for children and adults as well to seek out their genealogy and also to learn more about their black heritage and history, especially history in this case as it relates to the Underground Railroad.
That's correct. So many children do not know the history behind, because in America we don't always teach black history, but American history is black history. They are all in one, and there's so many stories that go unshared, go unnoticed. And I felt that this is a story that needed to be brought to the forefront. Many people have heard about Frederick Douglass. They've heard about Sojourner Truth. They've heard about John Brown. I could name people endless. But people do not know of the contributions, the important contributions that were made right in the city of Detroit.
Okay. I heard a lot about William Lambert myself some years ago, and it's always been a joy of mine to follow his story and to learn more and more I could about William Lambert. Give us an idea who the character William Lambert was.
William Lambert was actually born in Trenton, New Jersey, around 1812. He was born free. His mother was free, and his father was a man that purchased his own freedom. William became involved with the Quakers and abolitionist activities at an early age. He actually was a learned man. He learned to read and write by hands of the Quakers. And as a result, being in their company, he had a hunger and a thirst to want to help other children like himself to become free. So he ended up being a cabin boy on a Great Lakes vessel that first brought him to Detroit. And he saw Detroit and he was intrigued, and he made a decision that at some point in time he would return back to Detroit and that he would become an abolitionist like many others.
Okay. I also heard William Lambert, beside being an abolitionist, now we can see the roots of his abolitionist beginnings, if you will, came from growing up around Quakers, and of course they gave him a world-class education, I would say. One of the other things I would like to have you speak on also is William Lambert's occupation. What did William do during the day?
William was actually a trained and accomplished tailor. He owned his own tailor shop and dry cleaning shop right downtown Detroit. That is how he made his money. And he would take that same money and then turn it into a way to assist people who were running on the Underground Railroad. It is reported that he purchased as many as 60 false bottom wagons in order to transport slaves and to get them to Detroit.
Yeah, I used to hear about these false bottom wagons that could transport as many as 3 slaves during broad daylight, literally. The small space in the wagons allowed for slaves to be transported right in the break of the midday, if you will. Also, he had a circuit of them. He had 60 plus, you say, that he would run those wagons literally north and south every day. And I also heard that William would also go down south himself on some of the missions, if you will, to get people back up north. Could you elaborate on that? Is that true?
To my understanding, he didn't go deep south, but he would, of course, go south, maybe into Kentucky and, states like that were border states. He actually had an agreement with a group called the McKinstries. The McKinstries would actually purchase slaves and then release them after they had been purchased by them. And William was involved in that and would carry them in his false bottom wagons after they had been repurchased by the McKinstries.
Okay, William was a very busy man. We see here that he was a tailor by trade during the day, a vice president of the Detroit Underground Railroad Association, the starter of the African American Mysteries Society. He was one of the founding members there. He brought black education to the city of Detroit. He built St. Matthew's Church with a couple others. He put the money there and would also have a classroom in that church along with Second Baptist Church as well. What would you say was his most important role that William played?
Wow. William was so multifaceted. Not only was he a conductor on the Underground Railroad and a proponent for civil liberties for men and women of color, he also was the main spokesperson for the organization. And he actually spoke before Michigan State Legislature about the civil liberties. During this time, men and women of color had to have paperwork showing that they were indeed free, or they could be jailed or etc., or sent back south. But William thought that all of these things were unfair. And he actually spoke before the Michigan State Legislature concerning these issues. Very strong words at a time when men were still enslaved. So he was brave. He risked his own life and the life of his family in order to see men and women come to freedom. He was indeed his brother's keeper.
Okay. When I ask you this question, I think a little bit retrospectively at all the things that he did, and I'm trying to put in my mind where all this history was taking place. Where does the story in your book take place at? Set us a scene, if you will.
Okay. The actual book starts with me reading to my grandchildren, telling them about William Lambert and his accomplishments and the things that he did. Of course, it being a children's book, it's not a large depiction of everything that William did, but it is written so that children can have an understanding of the role that William Lambert and others played. William actually was well acquainted and friends with Frederick Douglass, John Brown. He actually took part in the planning meeting for the raid on Harper's Ferry. Even though he did not participate in the raid, he was a financial backer for the raid.
Okay. Yeah, I understand it. I remember what Harper's Ferry history, Harper's Ferry, Virginia history was all about. A failed attempt, as we know, historically speaking, it was. It cost John Brown his life. When I look here and I see the overall accomplishments of your ancestor, William Lambert, who was 3 times removed, your grandfather, from what I understand. Here's a question here. What would you like to see happen with your book and the story of William Lambert?
Okay. Again, William's name has not been out in the forefront like many others, John Brown and Harriet Tubman, etc., but he still played a vital role in people obtaining their freedom. I would like to see his name be out in the forefront so that people can understand the accomplishments that he made, and not only his accomplishments, but the role that Detroit, Michigan actually played, and how Black people need to have a firmer understanding of the role that many people played in the grand picture of the Underground Railroad. There are many myths out there, one of them being that the Underground Railroad was run primarily by Caucasian, by Quakers, etc., but actually it was former enslaved blacks that had obtained their freedom, or free blacks, that actually played the largest role in assisting people to obtain their freedom.
Okay. Let me ask you this, what kind of support did you receive in writing this book? Did you have people to encourage you along the way?
Yes, this book has been long in the making. I'm embarrassed to say how long it took. I went through several different things trying to get it, accomplished. I'm very happy that I finally did get the book ready and prepared for the world to see. I had very many people, other people who are involved in the Underground Railroad movement and want to see that the information and the story is told moving forward. So many people in Detroit who, have been behind me. I don't want to start naming names because I don't want to leave anybody out. Of course, I did mention them in detail in the book, giving them thanks for all of their assistance, all of their backing, all of their just encouragement that this story needs to get out.
Okay. Is your book available right now retail or online with Amazon or any outlet there? What's your outlets that you have your book going through right now? And show us an example of that book, matter of fact, Mrs. Napier.
This is a copy of the book. I'm very proud of it. This is my actually proof copy. The actual copies will be available sometime this month. Currently, I am having a website constructed so that that information for ordering the book would be available. I have no plans at this time to go through Amazon. Right now, I'm going to do the majority of the marketing on my own. If need be, I may end up going with Amazon, but right now, because there's such a buzz, particularly in the city of Detroit and Michigan, about William Lambert, because again, they've known about William Lambert for quite some time, but I really would like to get the story out on a national level. The book actually is written in about a 3rd grade level. I actually had my granddaughter, Gabrielle, kind of be one of my editors and have her read through the book and make sure that there were words that she could understand and comprehend. Very good. And her comprehension was excellent with the book. She understood what was going on. She was happy to be involved. And that was the impetus for the book.
Okay. Well, I see that your book is ready to roll. The illustrations and everything are tight and the cover's dynamic. I took a personal look at the book cover myself from front to back, and I really, really love the book myself. This book here, in my opinion, is something that children can be read a story from, if you will, and encouraged, if you will, from their adults themselves in their lives, their families, mother, father, grandparents, that would read this book to them to say about black heritage. We all have black heritage. Each and every family has a story to be told here. And it's good that you're reaching back not only to your ancestors' story, but you're reaching forward with the training and teaching of our black youth, our children, going forward to say that African American history should never be lost, if you will. What lessons would you like the readers of your book to come away with, Miss Napier?
I would like them to have a firm grasp and understanding the importance of the Underground Railroad, the importance that many people played, that civil rights actually began with the Underground Railroad. That was actually the first civil rights movement. Many in Detroit compared William Lambert to Martin Luther King, that he was a type of a Martin Luther King of his day. He was very forceful, he was very demonstrative, he was very fearless in his approach. And that I feel that this is a story that would inspire young people to know that people in the past, if they could do it with all of the things that they faced, that what is to stop us? We are in a time right now where we are seeing black people make accomplishments like never before. We have people like our vice president right now is an African American woman. So this will allow our children to know that they too will be able to do things and go places like never before.
Okay. Miss Christina Streety Napier, it's been our pleasure to talk to you, to have this short conversation for a virtual audience today. And personally, it's good to know you, myself as well. And I will always have a thirst of history, moving forward things to you. It causes us to look at our own lives and look at the role that we can play on a daily basis. Human history and black history is being made every single day, literally. All right. So we'd like to encourage you. And one thing before I go as well, I hear that your books, at some time, it's your hope at some point to have them in libraries and then have them in schools where children to be able to read those books and may perhaps see themselves in his story, to say to themselves with their lives, they can have accomplishments as well. I'm Joseph Napier Sr. with Miss Christina Streety Napier, and it's been our pleasure, and we thank you for tuning in today and watching this interview. Thank you very much.